So as we open up our conversation on ratios and unit rates, the first thing that I want to draw our attention to is answering the question, what is a ratio? And in our first lesson, that's essentially going to be what we're going to do. I want you to be able to both describe it and fundamentally, with some basic data, be able to create a ratio. So the first thing let's talk about is what exactly is a ratio when we talk about ratios. So a ratio is going to show the relative size of two or more values. In that, what that means is you're going to be given a set of data, and I'm going to show you in just a second, but then you're able to extract information to say for every blank there is this many blanks. And again, this will make a little more sense when we come over, but what I want to show you before we start is just how we express it. So that's what we're going to focus on right now. And so I'm going to give you an example. Let's just say I've got 4 students. There's 1 boy and 3 girls. And so we'll use this just, again, there's a set of data. I have 4 students, and one of them's a boy, and the other 3 are girls. So there's 2 ways that we can express. And the first way we can express this is that we're going to use the colon. So the colon looks like this, just 2 dots. And what I might say is the ratio is 1 to 3. Now, when I say that, I am saying for every 1 boy, there are 3 girls. Now, if I wanted to change that around, I could say it this way. I'm not locked into the smallest number being first or anything like that. But what I am locked into is the way the ratio is written. I need to say it a certain way. So I could say 3 to 1. And what I want you to see is when we say that colon, like when we say it, we're not going to say 1:3. We're going to say 1, whatever I'm dealing with boys here. 1 boy to, T-O, 1 boy to 3 girls. Or in the second one I wrote, I would say this is 3 girls to, right there's my colon, to 1 boy. And so that's one way that I could use a ratio, but more importantly, how I express it. So all the ratio does is create a relationship. So within this set of 4 children, 1 is a boy, 3 are girls. And as you see, and we'll grow on this in the next lesson and lessons to come, is that we're going to take and grow this understanding to be able to look at larger populations or larger sets of data. The second way that we might be able to express this is using a fraction. So I could use a fraction to separate one value from the total. Now this is a very big difference from using the colon. Notice when I used the colon, the only 2 numbers that showed up was 1 and 3. When I use the fraction, I'm going to use a fraction and I'm going to say, well, 1 of 4 children were boys. I can't say 1 of 3. Because then I've changed the data. The bottom number on our fraction needs to represent what the total in my data set would be. Or I could say it like this. 1 of 3. Oh, I'm so sorry. Look at me. I just did what I told you not to do. I could say 3 of 4 children are girls in my set of data. And so when we express it, you're going to use one of 2 ways to express it. We're going to use the colon, and in the colon, we're separating the actual values that were given. So with the particular set we're dealing with here, I can only say 1 boy to 3 girls or 3 girls to 1 boy, and that's it, because there are no other values within the set of data that I'm given. In my second option, using a fraction, remember that the total has to show up as the denominator, which is the bottom number. And that way it's still part of a whole. 1 of the 4 in my whole set of data, 1 of the 4 was a boy. Or in my whole set of data, which happens to be 4 children, 3 were girls. So in this set of examples, I'm going to stick with the boy-girl, so we'll let pink be girls and we'll let the blue be boys. Well, the first thing is, what if I asked you to create a ratio? And we're going to use the colon, so blank to blank. Well, I've got a couple of options. So what I want to do is I'm going to control how you give me the answer. I'm going to say, what if I want to know what is the ratio of girls to boys? Now, in this, I'm setting the tone as to how I want you to give me the answer, because notice girls came first, then boys. So as I set it up in my ratio, I need to honor that. So what I would say is I first need to go and count everything. How many girls do I have? If the girls are pink, 1, 2, 3, 4, I count 5. I'm just going to make a little note of that right there. And then there are 7 boys. And so I know that I can write a ratio of 5:7, and that's my ratio of girls to boys. If I were to mix those around and say 7 to 5, this is incorrect, because what I'm saying there are 7 girls to every 5 boys, and that's not congruent with our data that we're given. And so we want to make sure that our answer matches the question. It's very important that you pay attention to that detail. Now, I might also be asked, what if I said, well, what if I want to just know, and I'm not going to write the whole thing out, but I want to know the boys in the group. You're asked the question, how many boys are in the group? And instead of answering using the colon, we want to use a fraction to express this. Well, this is where we're going to say, well, we need to know the total. Well, I see 3 rows. Each row has 4. So 3 times 4, I know there are 12. And from the last time, we know that there was 7 boys. So I could say 7 of 12 would be the ratio of boys within the total set of data. So as we do our first practice activity, let's just remember those couple things. Number 1 is that a ratio is just creating a relationship between 2 sets of values within a set of data. And so particularly with the example that I've given you, really the values we're dealing with are boys and girls. Let the question dictate that. The other thing is we looked at, we can express this using a colon. If I use a colon, I've got to use both separate values, and then I want to ensure that the order is in line with the question. Or I can use a fraction using one value and the total that we're given. So you're going to take and do a couple practice activities, and then we'll continue our conversation with another video. Thanks a lot. Enjoy.